we kind of came up to the point where the Articles of Confederation were created. I won't go through the Articles of Confederation very deeply. I highly recommend that you read them, but I'm going to give you enough context so that it gives us an idea of why it was important as our first, in effect, Constitution. This reads, as you can see from here, the Constitutions of the several independent states of America, the Declaration of Independence, and the Articles of Confederation between the said states. This is an image of what is in the Library of Congress. Okay? The Articles of Confederation, formally, the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. Most people have never recognized this was a perpetual constitution. It's never been overwritten. It is technically still in effect. Okay? That is one thing that we're not taught in schools and things on this line basis. A perpetual union in the form of basically a treaty between the 13 colonies, the 13 states, which were basically 13 sovereign nations. It was an agreement among the 13 founding states that established the United States of America as a confederation of sovereign states and served as the first Constitution. Its drafting by the Continental Congress began in mid-1776, and an approved version was sent to the states for ratification in late 1777, so a year after the Declaration. The formal ratification of all 13 states was completed in early 1781. Now notice the gap. Very interesting, the fact is that it took them a while even to get these articles together and get them all ratified, all of the colonies. Even if not yet ratified, it went into effect. See, before it was even ratified, because the articles provided domestic and international legitimacy for the Continental Congress. Remember, they're trying to get the other nations of the world to recognize our declaration, our separation from England. And it actually directed the American Revolutionary War and conducted diplomacy with Europe and dealt with the territorial issues in Indian relations. So it covered all that ground, and it actually went into effect from the time that they actually went to the stage for ratification. So it was actually in effect for that period. Now, I'm only going to, let me see if I wanted to do it. This was something I wanted to read out. Now, I wanted to kind of give you an idea. These are the delegates of the state affixed to our name, and it's a greeting, and it's to all of the different colonies. And this is one of the only areas I wanted to get to. Like I said, I would highly recommend, you can always look it up on the internet or grab a copy of the article, but I wanted to cover just this first couple of three articles. Article 1, of course, the style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. Notice, united was not capitalized. Okay? That was a given to them at that point in time. They were all sovereign nations, so they wanted to maintain that. Article 2, each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence, and every power, jurisdiction, and right which is not by this confederation expressly delegated to the United States in Congress assembled, as we mentioned Congress before. However, again, this is a perpetual treaty, taking in all of the 13 colonies. So they retain their entire sovereignty and still do to this day. Now, does that include all of the other states that have been added since? No, it doesn't. However, it gives you an idea that this was perpetual, and what is going on is some of the conflicts that had, actually in the Supreme Court, in those 13 original colonies, since that period of time, just comes up. The Articles of Confederation comes up. So they're saying, wait a minute, no, we have our sovereignty in this. So in some ways, they have it better than we do here in Texas. In Article 3, the list is fifth states hereby severally enter into a firm league of friendship with each other for their common defense, the security of their liberties, and their mutual and general welfare, binding themselves to assist each other against all force offered to or attacks made upon them or any of them on account of religion, sovereignty, trade, or any other pretext whatsoever. Recognize that they actually mention sovereignty in here. If there's an attack on their sovereignty, they're supposed to join together to defend each other. Okay? That's something that we just have not seen before. Now, I mentioned to y'all, I think last week, about John Hanson. I didn't jump over into there, but I'm going to let you lead up to it. Now remember, the articles at this point in time have not been ratified, okay? Right from where I'm talking about right now. So our first president was Henry Lawrence, okay? Served from November 1st, 1777 until December 9th, 1778. He's the only American president ever to be held as a prisoner of war by a foreign power. He was captured by the English. Lawrence was heralded after he was released as, and I quote, the father of our country, by who no less a person has been George Washington referred to as the father of our country. John Jay, you recognize, one of the authors of the Federalist Papers. He served from December 10th to 1778 to September 27th, 1779. He was he served from, he's America's first Secretary of State, the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, author of some of the celebrated Federalist Papers I mentioned. Jay was the founding father who missed signing the Declaration of Independence. Okay? The reason was, at the time of the vote for independence and signing, he had temporarily left to serve in New York's revolutionary legislature. Remember, New York was under attack already. So that's why he had gone. He was chosen by his peers to succeed Henry Lawrence as President of the United States, serving a term from December 10, 1778 to September 27, 1779. The next one was Samuel Huntington, served from September 28, 1779 until July 9, 1781. Samuel Huntington was one of the greatest self-made men among the founders. One thing I don't mention in here is that he actually funded a good portion of the early Continental Army by delving out of and selling off his own stock in his company. He's saying, hey, just anything to fund it. And he basically almost devastated himself. But he finally did recover. Some didn't.
What kind of country he is?
He was into everything. But predominantly he was a merchant. It's a merchant ship. He was also one of the greatest legal minds of the age. He served in Congress for 5 consecutive terms, during the last of which he was elected president. He served in that office from September 28, 1779, until ill health forced him to resign on July 9, 1781. Thomas McKean, all of him, of course, served from July 10, 1781 to November 4, 1781. Besides signing the Declaration of Independence, he contributed significantly to the development and establishment of constitutional government. McKean also helped draft and sign the Articles of Confederation. It was during his tenure of service as president from July 10, 1781 to November 4, 1781, when news arrived from General Washington in October of that year, 1781, that the British had surrendered following the Battle of Yorktown. Now here is our first president under the Article. Okay? He served from November 5th, 1781 until November 3rd, 1782, first president of the United States after ratification of the Articles of Confederation, our first Constitution. We're not taught that we have another president as America in America. Before George Washington. It's kind of sad because of the fact is that there was so much involved with these people. These were all founding fathers. They all contributed heavily, but it never mentioned. And most of your history books will not mention it. He was president for this period of time. He was first president to serve a full term after the full ratification of the Articles of Confederation. Like many of the Southern and New England founders, he was strongly opposed. And this is what's really important. I want y'all to catch these things too. He was opposed to the Constitution when it was first discussed. We're talking about the next Constitution. He remained a confirmed anti-federalist until his untimely death. Elias Boonville served from November 4, 1782 and until November 2, 1783. He did not sign the Declaration, the Articles, nor the Constitution, but in 1783 he was elected to the presidency. He served that office from November 4th, 1782 until November 2nd. I just did that one again. He was a classically trained scholar and an anti-federalist also in political matters. He was the father and grandfather of frontiersmen. One of his grandchildren, and namesakes, eventually became a leader of the Cherokee Nation in its bid for independence from the sprawling expansion of the United States. Thomas Mifflin served from November 3rd, 1783 to November 29th, 1784. He served as George Washington's first aide-de-camp at the beginning of the Revolutionary War. In 1784, as president, he signed a treaty with Great Britain, which ended the war. So, when we're talking about the Treaty of Paris, that's what that is. When King George finally accepted defeat, in effect, and it allowed the 13 colonies to leave, it was Thomas Mifflin that was president to attend to that signing.
Okay, did the Congress pick you guys to be president?
Yes.
For
So
only 1 year, only 1 year.
Yes, 1 year. They required a complete turnover on a regular basis to keep from anyone staying in power and gaining clout, in effect. Not a bad idea. He had become sympathetic to Jefferson's principles regarding states' rights, and even so, he directed the Pennsylvania militia to support the federal tax collectors in the Whiskey Rebellion. So he was anti-federalist on most things, but when it came to the Whiskey Rebellion, he was behind the Hamiltonian Federalists. Richard Henry Lee, we'll recognize him too. Nobody knows that he was president, and you don't ever get this one. He served November 30th, 1784 to November 22nd, 1785. His resolution that these United Colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, approved by the Continental Congress July 2nd, 1776. He was elected president, serving from November 30th, 1784, I just mentioned this before, when he was succeeded by the second administration of John Hancock. Richard Henry Lee was a staunch advocate of anti-federalist beliefs. Once again, all of these, you see that there's an anti-federalist leaning to all of these former presidents. Nathaniel Gorham, right? Served from June 5th, 1786 to February 1st, 1787. When John Hancock was unable to complete his second term as president, Gorham was elected to succeed him, serving from June 6th. I just realized I missed John Hancock. Yeah, just definitely. He actually served 2 terms for a year. Okay. Second one, like I said, of course, is short. Yes. It was during this time that Congress actually entertained the idea of asking Prince Henry, check this out, the brother of Frederick II of Prussia, and Bonnie Prince Charlie, to consider the possibility of establishing a constitutional monarch in America. We're not taught that. They were actually thinking about bringing in Bonnie Prince Charlie of Scotland to actually become the first monarch of America. However, the advocates of republicanism and anti-federalism held the day. Okay? Arthur St. Clair served from February 2nd, 1787 until January 21st, 1788. He was elected president, and he served until he was a strident anti-federalist, believing that the proposed federal constitution would eventually allow for the intrusion of government into virtually every sphere and aspect of life. He predicted that under the vastly expanded centralized power of the state, the taxing powers of bureaucrats and other unelected officials would eventually confiscate as much as a quarter of the income of the citizens. He just undershot it. Okay? He has proven to be honestly modest in the light of the current governmental revival. Cyrus Griffin, we're almost there. Served as the nation's chief executive from January 22nd, 1788 until George Washington's inauguration as the first president under the new Constitution. Like so many other Virginians, here we go again, he was an anti-federalist. So he eventually accepted the new Constitution with the promise of the Bill of Rights, wouldn't accept it without it, as a hedge against the establishment of an American monarchy. which still had a good deal of currency. There were still a lot of people at that point in time thought that we might go to a monarchy.